The Srixon ZXi4 iron just got a big brother. The ZXiR iron is the newest addition to the ZXi iron lineup, and we'll tell you why it is the perfect extension of the ZXi irons in terms of look, in terms of feel, and in terms of performance. Hey golfers, I'm Drew Mahowald, Second Swing Golf, joined by Harrison Arnold here in the Minnetonka store tour van. This is going to be a fun comparison.
Yeah.
I think more out of curiosity than anything. This is the Srixon ZXiR iron released here at the very, very end of 2025, game improvement iron. And you have the ZXi4 from Srixon. So, and what we've learned is ZXiR is a game improvement iron. ZXi4 is a player development iron. So kind of just talk me through, even just first of all, visually, what you see as the differences here.
Yeah, so I think looking at them to start with, slightly different graphics on the backside here. So we've kind of got a more filled-in cavity here, and the IR is kind of sunken back a little bit more. So you can kind of really see that top part weight there kind of protrude a little bit more. Definitely looks like a smaller package now on the i4. Now seeing the IR, always sort of thought about that ZXi4 being like that game improvement iron in their lineup, but yeah, makes a little bit more sense it being categorized as a player's development now. Yeah,
so we just actually filmed the ZXiR swing report, which you can go see on the YouTube channel, and we thought there were a lot of similarities between this and the ZXi4, so that's why we brought this one in. We did look, the standard lofts on both are 28.5, so they should be very comparable in that regard. I think what we're looking for is, number one, with the ZXiR, the two big things that we love about it is the new material, the alloy, and we're going to maybe see, I'm going to get your feedback on the feel differences between the two irons, if this one's a little softer because of the new material, and also the sweet spot. So the ZXiR, the sweet spot is a little bit lower, and we talked about in the swing report that this kind of helps with those lower strike locations on the club face. So we'll maybe see how the performance on those shots differs as well between the two. But I think also we just want to see where these irons fit in the lineup and how, when it's time for someone interested in Srixon irons to get fit, how you want to go about that process, Harrison.
Yeah, for sure. I think definitely be interesting to kind of see similarities, differences, which golfer might fit into which iron, all those things.
Do you have a prediction for how this is going to go? I mean, right now, just by what we know with the loft, what we know about the build, I think it's going to be really close.
Yeah, I think the biggest difference for me personally is going to be on those off-center strikes, seeing how that spin wavers. We're seeing this i4 being a little bit of a lower spin model. We saw some interesting things with the IR, so it'd be interesting to kind of see what the off-center strikes do.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
That was mushed.
That was it good.
1.40.
On the dot. All right, we've got a spinny one in there.
I have a feeling this is going to be a lot louder. That is one of the straightest golf shots I have ever seen. I mean, when you get your club path to be 0.0 and your face angle to be 0.1, that is some ball speed.
That was it, really good.
All right. We got one more swing, I think.
One more. That's got no spin on it. Yep.
Holy, did you knuckle that one?
Felt pretty good, but...
that is weird. The spin went way down. Okay.
But that was the first one I hit really out of the middle.
Yeah, you just said 700 and 220 yards. Okay. All right, I will give this to you. Okay, so Harrison, here is the ZXi4, and you've hit 5 with the ZXiR. I guess numbers-wise, this lines up pretty close to what we saw in the swing report video, where we had, a couple shots that were around 5,000. This actually last one's kind of interesting, where it's almost as if you hit it kind of like a knuckleball. That spin dropped a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at impact location, and it's actually kind of right in the center. So that one's a bit curious to me, but I think this kind of gives us the baseline to see maybe where ZXi4 compares. Give me your thoughts on just how those look at address, the two of them compared, because I know we've, just from the naked eye back here as we're looking at them, they look pretty similar. But
so I think when I've always thought about ZXi4, I've always thought game improvement iron. Now putting these next to each other, it's kind of night and day. The IR is a way bigger package than this i4.
Okay.
Mainly just in that blade length. You can really notice that. A little bit less offset on that i4 as well. Pretty similar top line, but I think the biggest thing is just how long that blade is.
Okay. So, because that's something where I'm going to be curious because actually, let's just do this. I'm going to look at the impact location as a group here. So, we're maybe on average slightly below. If we could point out individual ones, these are slightly, okay, yeah, we had a couple that were below, that one's good. So really shot 2 is the one I'm gonna be interested in because this one, you barely lost any ball speed going slightly below.
Yeah, and with the IR, like we spoke about the impact, the sweet spot is actually a little bit lower on the face to kind of work on those strikes so we don't hit it out of the center. So be interested to see how this one compares in the same way, right?
Yeah. So I'm hoping we can get maybe a shot or 2 from you that's a little bit below the center of the face, and we can see how that compares.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I hit that one pretty good.
Right off the bat. All right, a little more spin maybe to start, at least on that one.
A lot more spin, actually, because I hit that one, well, I felt like I hit that one pretty close to the middle, so interesting. Yeah, pretty interesting.
Okay.
Very similar in that regard. A lot higher in spin.
Yeah, the spin so far has also been pretty close to the same number.
Consistent.
And 2 shots, again, that's not a big sample
That seemed like 2 different strikes as well, so that was for
that's the nice thing is we have
in that.
You can find out. Yeah, it was 2 different strikes.
Completely different strikes, and spin stayed pretty consistent. So
that's a good thing.
Interesting. Oh, there you go. A little bit lower in spin, kind of what we saw with the IR.
Yeah, there's kind of that one shot with each now where it's sort of.
Maybe that one's a touch high on the face, which is why it's dropped in spin, but nothing crazy. Like but yeah, so far from a feel, I can definitely feel that IR feels a lot softer.
You think so?
This feels a little bit deader off the face now. Srixon's always a soft feeling iron, so it's kind of hard to say that really. But now I've gone from 1 to within 3 shots hitting this one, I can feel a slight difference of being a little bit deader off the face here. But
I think I'd be curious if the viewers can hear anything different listening to this, and then you can leave a comment if you have a preference of one or the other, or you've noticed a difference. I don't notice a big difference in sound right now.
I'm not hearing a lot.
But maybe I'm not hearing it. Maybe it's there. Maybe it'll come through for the viewers watching on YouTube.
Yeah, and pretty good. Yeah, just a lot higher in spin with this iron, which is not surprising, right? With this being kind of a player's development iron, I would expect that to be a little bit higher. As we kind of creep up the different categories of irons, spin goes up too, right? So like a blade's always going to be the highest in spin, game improvement's going to be a little bit lower in spin.
Yeah.
So I'm not too surprised to see this one be a little bit higher in spin, as it's the next category up in the game improvement.
Yeah, and this is kind of where you get into a point where as you gradually go up that
like a ladder.
Up the ladder. There you go. You get to a point where the irons are designed to provide spin and control and consistency, whereas the irons down in the game improvement category, it's about giving distance. It's about giving forgiveness. Yeah. Whereas as you go up the ladder, or smaller in size, it's the player provides the performance. The club just needs to deliver consistency, and that's where the difference is in the design of them. So
I think that's a great way of putting it, because I think in reality, this club isn't made for me. You can make it work, but seeing how it performs when it hits different sides of the face is still interesting to see.
Yeah,
because we can kind of categorize which people kind of need this iron, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's someone who is pretty proficient with hitting it kind of close to the middle of the face. They might want a little bit more precision. Maybe that IR is for someone who really does struggle with hitting it low on the face and needs that help with getting a little bit more spin when we hit the bottom of the face. So it really helps you to kind of categorize which iron that our viewers might want to get themselves into.
Let's hit one more, and then we got 5 with each. And I'm gonna be curious to see when we compare them side by side here. Some fastball speed there.
Yeah, that one felt good.
All right, so I think I have a prediction of what we're gonna look like here. So this is kind of fun. So we got, I think really the big difference to me is this shot with the ZXi-R that spin dropping as low as it did kind of threw this head-to-head for a loop a little bit, because the spin down at 3,600 really changes things, where if I take that out for fun, we'll just see what that looks like, right? Things get a lot closer together. The dispersion gets a lot closer together. And then we still do see the gradual difference, though, right, of that spin being a little bit higher.
Yeah.
Curious if we get much for difference on height. Not really.
No, get a touch more land angle with the i4, just because we've got higher spin, we've got higher height, so all going to add up to having a steeper land angle.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's two very good options here for people who need a game improvement. I'm going to keep them both in a category of game improvement, because they're both made for people who can't consistently hit it out of the middle of the face. It's a hard game, right?
I think there's maybe a little bit more distance or juice packed into the ZXiR. I think that this shot here is evidence of that. You didn't even hit this one as good as you thought, maybe, and we 138 smash, but it's your farthest one of the day by a comfortable margin.
For sure.
If we were to look at impact location here, we can see ZXiR was slightly below center. ZXi4, if we go to the averages, kind of similar.
Yeah.
A little bit more closer to the heel there, so that could be part of the spin difference, potentially.
And we talked about going up the ladder and just spin, right?
Yeah.
And how each category of iron we go up, going to see a bit more spin. Same thing with the dispersion there too. The more we go up that ladder, the more precise an iron becomes too. So
especially for someone of your caliber.
Yeah, for someone like myself, like that's where I'm going to see the biggest differences looking at these game improvement irons. Maybe someone needs the IR to help them get the ball up in the air. They might need help with some of those lower strikes on the face, but someone who wants to be a touch more precise than that, well, you can see a big difference there in our dispersion circles.
Right, because we can look at, like, for example, you had one swing down here with the ZXiR. This was kind of a miss, so to speak, that was comfortably low on the face. We didn't really have a poor strike in that regard with the ZXi4, but then your distance, everything else is much further with the ZXiR. So I think the difference here, it's not a huge difference between the two irons, but I think
aesthetically,
there's a difference in look and what you like at address to see. But I think if your number one priority with a new set of irons is going to be hitting the ball further, hitting the ball higher, better miss hits, ZXiR is probably the way to lean.
Yeah.
But if you want a little bit more precision, maybe a little bit more of that kind of player-oriented shape to it and performance to it, that's where ZXi4, and then maybe, again, we can talk about combo sets with 5 and 7 throughout the bag as well. But it's not a huge difference, but I think there's some differences in the construction of the build that are noticeable.
Yeah, I'd say the biggest thing that I would say is just that is the look of it. You can definitely notice putting both of them down how big the package is in the IR in comparison to the i4. Whether you like looking down there and having a little bit more confidence of how long the blade length is, then I think that should take it.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the quick summary of each. But of course, you got to get fit to know exactly which one you prefer, and maybe it is a little bit of both. I mean, that's the combo set is it's the trend that I know you're trying to always, if there's a way to do it, get a combo set in a player's bag. So go get fit at Second Swing. Schedule an appointment with someone like Harrison for a ZXiR or ZXi4 or any of the Srixon ZXi irons, and they'll help you play better golf. So, Harrison, thank you so much.
Of course.